Before you book a bus to travel this December, before you tell the driver, I beg, drive fast, I get somewhere to be, listen to what happened to Chidi. Listen carefully, your life might depend on it. The smell of roasted plantain and diesel fumes filled the Lagos motor park as Chidi checked his phone for the 5th time. 6:47 p.m. His mother's voice echoed in his head from their call that morning. Chidi, don't travel at night, you hear me? Not in December. These roads, they swallow people. Quick question before we continue. Drop a comment and tell me, where are you watching from? And have you ever had to make a risky December journey like Chidi? Let me know below, I read every comment. But here Chidi was, standing before the last bus to Enugu because his boss had refused to let him leave early. 5 years working as a bank teller in Lagos, and Mr. Adebayo still couldn't understand that some of us have families waiting. His sister's wedding was tomorrow. He had promised to walk her down the aisle. Their father had been gone 3 years now. He couldn't feel her too. Oga, you dey enter or you dey waste my time. The driver, a thick-set man with tribal marks carved deep into his cheeks, leaned against the bus. His eyes were red shots, whether from exhaustion or something else, Chidi couldn't tell. The man's name tag read Musa in fading ink. Inside the bus, Chidi counted 7 other passengers. He recognized the types immediately. December travelers, all of them. The exhausted Lagos hustle written on their faces like a language everyone could read. Seat 14, window side. Chidi squeezed past a woman clutching a Ghana must-go bag and a young man whose afro blocked half the aisle. As he sat down, the seat beside him remained empty. Good. He needed space to think, to breathe, to prepare himself for the lie he would tell his mother about why he left so late. The engine coughed to life, spewing black smoke that drifted through his half-open window. The smell of burning oil mixed with the night air, sharp, acrid, settling in his throat like a warning. We go reach before midnight, Musa announced, shifting into gear. The bus lurched forward and Lagos began to fade behind them. The first hour passed in relative silence. Chidi watched the city lights give way to darkness, the kind of complete darkness that only Nigerian highways know. No street lights, just the occasional glow of roadside restaurants and the flash of oncoming headlights that burned too bright, too close. His phone buzzed. His sister Adeaze. Brother, you've left Lagos? Yes, see you tomorrow morning. Can't wait to walk you down that aisle. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then, please be careful. I had a dream. Chidi's stomach tightened, but he typed back quickly. Stop worrying, I'm fine. Get some sleep. Tomorrow is your day. He silenced his phone and leaned his head against the window, feeling the vibration of the road through the glass. The rhythm was almost hypnotic. Bump, bump, smooth, bump. His eyes grew heavy. Bam! The bus swerved violently. Chidi's head slammed against the window. Screams erupted around him. Jesus! The woman with the Ghana must go back shrieked. Musa wrestled with the steering wheel, his arms straining. The bus fishtailed, tires screeching against asphalt, before he finally brought it under control. They coasted to a stop on the shoulder of the highway, the engine still running, headlights illuminating nothing but endless darkness ahead. What happened, Oga? Somebody shouted from the back. Musa said nothing. His hands were still gripping the wheel, knuckles pale despite his dark skin. In the rearview mirror, Chidi saw something in the driver's eyes he'd seen before. On the face of his cousin who'd survived the car accident, on his mother's face the day his father's body came home. Terror. Driver, talk now. The young man with the afro stood up. Waiting with jam. Musa's voice came out as a whisper. I don't know. You don't know? How you no go know? The young man's voice rose. Chidi's heart was hammering. Through the windscreen, he could see the road ahead was empty. Nothing. No animal, no vehicle, no person. Just darkness and the white lines disappearing into the night. Make una stay inside, Musa finally said, opening his door. Make I check. No. The word left Chidi's mouth before he could stop it. Everyone turned to look at him. He didn't know why he said it, only that his instinct screamed danger. Don't go out there. Musa stared at him, something passing between them, an understanding perhaps, or a resignation. But the young man with the afro was already pushing past Chidi. This one a woman, he scoffed. I'll go check myself. The temperature in the bus seemed to drop as the young man stepped out. Chidi watched through his window as the boy walked to the front of the bus, illuminated by the headlights. He bent down, examining something on the ground. Then he froze. His whole body became rigid, like someone had poured concrete in his veins. Slowly, mechanically, he stood up and turned to face the bus. His face! Chidi would never forget that face. The mouth open in a silent scream, eyes wide and white, reflecting the headlights like mirrors. Blood, or something darker than blood, dripped from his nose. The young man raised one trembling finger and pointed. Not at the boss, not at any of them. Behind the boss. If this story is already gripping you, hit that subscribe button right now, because what happens next will haunt you. You don't want to miss how this ends. Chidi's hands were ice. He turned slowly, dreading what he would see through the back window. At first, there was nothing, just darkness and the faint red glow of their tail lights painting the road crimson. Then his eyes adjusted, and he saw them. Figures, standing in a line across the highway, maybe 20 meters back. 7, no, 9. No, he couldn't count them because they kept shifting, multiplying in his peripheral vision. Solid one moment and smoke the next. Then don't follow us. The woman with the Ghana must go bag's voice shook. I tell my husband make I no travel. I tell him, but he say I did talk nonsense. Shut up, someone hissed. Make they not hear us. They don't already see us, Musa said quietly. Then we follow since we pass Ore. The words hit Chidi like cold water. You know? Chidi's voice cracked. You know and you kept driving? What you want make I do? Make I stop for Ore and tell you now say spirits they follow us? You for enter? Any of you? Silence. Because he was right. They would have called him mad, taken another bus, and that bus would have... Chidi didn't want to think about it. My brother traveled this road last December. A woman in the back spoke the first time. Her voice was hollow, scraped clean of emotions. Then found the bus 3 days later. All the passengers just they sit inside like they sleep, but their eyes will open. Then look get scratch. No accident. The driver say he no remember anything, saying that only him wake up. Then lock him up for madhouse. So what we go do now? The woman with the Ghana must go back was crying now, mascara tracking down her cheeks like tiny rivers. Chidi thought of her day as in her hotel room in Enugu, probably pacing now, checking her phone every 5 minutes. He thought of the white wedding dress hanging in her closet waiting for him. Thought of his father's empty seat that he was supposed to fill. No. The young man with the afro was still standing outside, frozen, pointing. Chidi could see him shaking now, tremors running through his body like electric currents. We have to get him back inside, Chidi said, his legs somehow moving despite the fear flooding his system. His hands found the door handle. Sit down, Musa commanded. I beg you, sit. But Chidi was already out. The December air hit him like a wall. Cold, yes, but wrong. It smelled wrong, like rust and burning rubber, and something underneath that made his stomach churn. Something ancient, something hungry. His feet touched the asphalt and he felt spongy, alive. The sensation crawled up through his shoes, his legs, settling in his bones like a vibration he could feel, but couldn't hear. Brother, Chidi called out softly. The young man didn't respond. Up close, he could see his eyes were not reflecting the headlights at all. They were glowing from within, a pale yellow light that pulsed in rhythm. With what? Then he heard it. Drums. Distant, but getting closer. Not the drums from wedding ceremonies or church services. These were older, deeper, each beat matching his pulse until he couldn't tell where his heartbeat ended and the drums began. Boom, boom, boom.
The figures behind the bus were moving now, not walking, gliding, getting closer. We have to go now. Chidi grabbed the young man's arm and it was like touching a corpse. Cold, stiff, but the contact broke whatever spell held him. The yellow light died in his eyes and he gasped, sucking in air like a drowning man. They want, the young man wheezed. They want the offering. What offering? But the young man was already stumbling back to the bus, and Chidi had to half drag, half carry him. Behind them, the figures were gliding faster, their forms more solid now. He could make out details he wished he couldn't. Tattered clothes from decades past, faces with features that didn't quite align correctly, mouths that opened too wide. They reached the door. Chidi shoved the young man inside and followed, and Musa slammed the door shut behind them with a force that rattled the windows. Drive, Chidi shouted, drive! But Musa was staring at the dashboard. It no go start. What? The engine, it die. The drumming was louder now, so loud Chidi could feel it in his teeth. Through the windscreen, he saw them. The figures had formed a circle around the bus. 9 of them. No, 12. No. Stop counting, he told himself. Stop looking. But he couldn't. One of them stepped closer to his window. It had been a woman once. Her wrapper was the style his grandmother used to wear. Her hair in the threading pattern that went out of fashion before Chidi was born. But her eyes. She pressed her palm against his window. The glass frosted instantly under her touch, spider webbing with cracks. Her mouth moved, forming words she couldn't hear, but somehow understood. December roads demand their price. Waiting then once, the woman with the Ghana must go bag sobbed. Money? We get money. Take 'em. It's not money they want, the woman from the bag said quietly. She had pulled something from her bag, a small leather pouch that smelt of herbs and smoke. She opened the pouch and poured red powder into her palm. Uda seeds, Chidi recognized, and something else, something that made her eyes water. But them get weakness, she continued. They no fit touch person wey no dey fear. They feed on fear, on our rush, on our carelessness. She looked directly at Chidi. Why you come out for that boy? You know they fear? Chidi thought about it. His hands were still shaking, his heart still racing. But when he saw the young man standing there, frozen, all he could think about was Adaize's face when she found out her brother didn't make it. When she had to walk down that aisle alone, just like their father's funeral. When Chidi had stood by the grave, wondering if he had done enough, been enough. I dey fear, he admitted. But I fear something else past this. I fear make my sister wake up tomorrow and I know they there. The woman nodded slowly. Now person wey get something to protect always pass person wey just dey run. She moved to the front of the bus, sprinkling the powder on the dashboard, the steering wheel, and Musa's hands. She was chanting something in Igbo, old Igbo, the kind his grandmother used to speak, that always sounded more like music than words. The figures outside began to waver. Everybody, the woman commanded. Think of person wey dey for you. No think about waiting there outside. Think about tomorrow. Think about the person you promise say you go reach. Chidi closed his eyes. Adaize. Her laughter sounded like their mother's. The way she used to hold his hand when she was scared, back when they were children, and their father would tell them ghost stories. The way she had held his hand at their father's funeral and whispered, I still get you, right? You no go leave me. Never. I go always there for you, he promised. The bus shuddered once. The engine turned over twice. Come on, Musa muttered, coaxing it. Come on, baby. Start for me. The figures were pressing closer now, their forms becoming more solid, more real. The one at Chidi's window had been joined by others. They were scratching at the glass, and with each scratch, Chidi could hear whispers in his mind, promises of rest, of sleep, of giving up this exhausting journey, and just... But then he heard something else. Through the chaos, through the drumming, and the whispers, and the scratching, his phone buzzed. A text from Adaize. I'm wearing Mama's necklace tomorrow, the one Papa gave her. I wish he could see me, but you'll be there. That's enough. That's everything. Drive safe, brother. Something broke inside Chidi, or maybe something solidified. He pressed his palm against the window, right where the spirit's hand rested, separated only by cracking glass. You can't have me, he said quietly. My sister, they wait. The engine roared to life. Musa didn't wait. He slammed the bus into gear and floored it. The spirits scattered like smoke, their forms dissipating as the bus surged forward. Through the back window, Chidi watched them recede into darkness. And for a moment, just a moment, he thought he saw them differently. Not as monsters, but as people. Lost people who'd made the same journey, who'd been rushing home to someone, who'd been careless for just a moment, and that moment had cost them everything. The bus flew down the highway, Musa's hands steady now, his eyes clear. The woman with the Ghana must go bag was praying loudly in Yoruba. Her hands clasped so tight her knuckles were white. The young man with the afro sat trembling in his seat, tears streaming down his face silently. We go reach, the woman from the back said.
But when you na reach, not tell nobody this story for 3 days, make the spirits forget you na face first. Chidi nodded, though he knew he would never forget. None of them would. The hours passed differently after that, faster somehow, like they had slipped through a fold in time. Musa stopped twice for bathroom breaks, and each time everyone stuck together, no one venturing more than a few meters from the bus. They spoke little, but there was an understanding between them now. They had survived something together. When the lights of Enugu finally appeared on the horizon, Chidi felt something release in his chest. The dashboard clock read 4:47 a.m. Behind schedule, but alive. Musa pulled into the motor park just as dawn was breaking, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. As Chidi gathered his bag, Musa caught his arm. "Thank you," the driver said quietly, "for that boy. If you no bring him back," he didn't finish, but he didn't need to. "You would have done the same," Chidi said. Musa smiled, tired and sad. "Maybe, but you do am first. Now that one counts." The woman from the back touched Chidi's shoulder as she passed. "Your sister go happy to see you. Walk am down that aisle well, you hear?" Chidi watched as the passengers dispersed into the waking city, each carrying their own secrets, their own survival. The young man with the afro was the last to leave, and as he stepped off the bus, he turned back. "I for don't die if na only me," he said. "Thank you." Then he disappeared into the crowd. Chidi stood alone in the motor park, breathing in the morning air, clean, normal, alive. His phone rang. Adeze, "Brother, you don't reach." "I don't reach, oh," he said, and his voice cracked with emotion he had not expected. "I don't reach, Adeze. I dey come hotel now." "Your voice sound different. You okay?" He looked back at the bus, and Musa, who was now inspecting the vehicle, running his hands over the windows where the spirits touched, where the frost patterns still remained like ghostly fingerprints. "I dey okay," he said. I miss Papa, but I dey here. I go walk you down that aisle exactly as I promise." "That's all I need," she whispered. "That's everything." The wedding was beautiful. Daisy was radiant in her mother's necklace, and when Chidi walked her down the aisle, his hand holding hers tight, he thought about all the arms that had held his through the darkness, his father's, his sister's, even strangers on a December road who became something more than strangers. He thought about the spirits too, about how they were once people who'd made journeys, who'd had siblings and weddings and promises to keep. People who'd been rushing, been careless, been unlucky. And he understood what his mother was trying to tell him all along.
That December journey taught Chidi something every Nigerian traveler needs to understand. December roads aren't just dangerous because of bad drivers or poor road conditions. They are dangerous because of us. Our desperation to get home, our rushing, our willingness to ignore red flags because we have somewhere to be. Here's what that night taught all of them. Lessons that could save your life. Never ignore your instincts. When something feels wrong, whether it's a driver's bloodshot eyes, a bus leaving too late, or a vehicle that seems poorly maintained, listen to that voice. Your ancestors put that warning system in you for a reason. One delayed trip is better than a trip you never return from. Also leave early or leave another day. Know the road's history. Roads have reputations. Ask people who travel regularly. Which routes have the most accidents? Which parks have the best maintained buses? Which drivers are known to be careful? Lastly, chooses safety over convenience. Choose registered transport companies over random park buses. Choose daylight over night. Choose an extra day of travel over rushing. Choose arriving late over not arriving at all. Adaeze didn't need Chidi to risk his life to make it to her wedding. She needed him alive. Your family doesn't need you to die trying to reach them for Christmas. They need you to arrive safely, even if it's late, even if it's after the celebration. There will be other Christmases, other celebrations, but there's only one you. If this story made you think twice about your December travel plans, you've already learned the most important lesson.
Share this story with someone who is planning to travel this season. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because next week I'm sharing another story. One about what happened to the bus that left before Chidi's. You don't want to miss it. Comment below. Have you ever had a close call on a December road journey? What's your rule for staying safe during holiday travel? Let's learn from each other. Your story might save someone's life. Travel safe, arrive alive. Everything else can wait.